choosing between heating or eating. Is this the modern Britain we're happy to live in 2022?
And enough really is enough.
People who have experienced a financial crisis in the last 6 months are nearly 8 times more likely to contemplate suicide. That's a massive amount of people in need. And what with poor enforcement practice being widespread, 1 in 3 bailiffs breaking the rules, like going into family homes before 6 in the morning or after 9 at night, even with children there, seizing the wrong property or using force and intimidation that can only cause trauma. I went to the Enough is Enough launch rally in Manchester a few weeks ago, as the state of the country is much worse and getting worse by the day. I overheard a woman being interviewed. She was a dinner lady, explaining that she had to take food back from children who couldn't afford to pay for it. Her heart was broken, and so was mine.
It's brilliant to see all the strikes. The rail workers, RMT, ASLEF, TESA, CWU in the Post, BT, Openreach and post offices, Polyfloor, AQA, Amazon and the Dockers. This is the power that can defeat the Tories. The Tories have just made millionaires £55,000 better off, and we can fight back. We can defeat them. Our members are balloting because we're sick of pay freezes, attacks on our pensions, and now 91,000 job cuts the government is threatening us with.
After me, third pay for rising! Third pay for rising!
Refugee is a solution to it. We are part of the solution. We have talented people that can work and contribute to the society. We are not animal, we are human beings. I believe if platform is given to us, we can change the narrative of UK citizens. We are here to contribute our very best. Please and please, we want to make sure that the government should hear refugee. They should know that we are not animal, we are human beings like that. We want to contribute to what we have.
Who are postal workers? Are they greedy? Are they lazy? Are they work shy? Strike happy militants? I'll tell you what they are. Postal workers, they're your family, they're your friends, they're your neighbours, they're the backbone and the fabric of this society. And they keep the country connected, no more so than during the when they were designated as key workers, working 6 days a week, often 7. And we deliver to 39 million addresses throughout the UK, often keeping an eye on the elderly and the vulnerable whilst going about our daily duties, particularly in those rural areas. And the reward for that, a cut in pay, a tax on our terms and conditions, and the effective derecognition of our trade union. And that doesn't only lower our living standards, it completely reconstitutes the 500-year postal service that you all know and enjoy. And the cornerstone of that service, the universal one price goes anywhere, universal service obligation. They're talking about deliveries now up to 3 hours later and a desire to deliver fewer times a week. The potential to deny those that are financially, geographically or digitally isolated from access to that service. And the public deserve better than what's currently on the table, and so do the women and men that deliver your mail.
I've been involved in a number of campaigns over the last couple of years, especially after the killing of George Floyd. That sparked the worldwide BLM movement. We've achieved so much in such a short space of time. People have become more politically aware, more politically engaged. People were prepared to take to the streets after the killing of an unarmed black man whose life was painfully, slowly and brutally taken in front of all of our eyes. Now, I was here on this very spot in June 2020 with over 20,000 protesters. The momentum that was created on the back of the BLM movement felt positive. We had football players taking the knee and sending a clear anti-racist message to the world week in, week out on a global platform. In Wales, it has become mandatory to teach black history on the curriculum. The officer who killed George Floyd was sentenced to murder, and rightly so. Now, this wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for the protest. So I know I'm preaching to the converted, but I can't express enough how important it is the Enough campaign continues, and we continue to take to the streets regularly. My good friend and long-time activist Karen Reisman, who's here somewhere in the crowd, a mental health nurse of over 30 years, decided to call a protest over the NHS, as the NHS staff were insulted by the shocking 1% pay rise the government offered them. They've kept this country running during the pandemic. They've continued to work around the clock, save lives under government cuts, and have been pushed to the brink. Now, what did Greater Manchester Police decide to do? They fined her £10,000 because under the law at the time, it was illegal to protest. £10,000. They handed it to her like it was a parking ticket. Now, how can anyone expect to pay 10 grand? Now, this sent a very clear message to the people who are thinking of having a protest. It was a declaration of war as far as I was concerned. Now, we set up a GoFundMe page for people to support Karen in paying that fine, and the community came together in under 3 hours and over £10,000 was raised. Now that is what real community and togetherness looks like. In the end, around £16,000 was raised in just a few hours, and because of public pressure and the appeals, the fine was eventually overturned, and the money raised went to a local mental health charity of Karen's choice. Now the point is, this is the length this Tory government are prepared to go to oppress our people. And when I say our people, I really mean our people. These are our issues, they affect us all. It's not just about black or white, these are all our issues. And we're seeing that now with the cost of living crisis. It doesn't choose what colour skin you are, it will affect us all.
It's great to be able to stand with you and say enough is enough, but it's not enough to just say enough is enough. We must be organised, and we must organise in every workplace. We must organise with every trade union. We must organise in every community with every community group, because that is the only way we will fight back. Trade unions for a long time have said an injury to one is an injury to all of us, and that is a mantra that should apply to every single person in the crowd, and it should dictate how we live our lives. For too long our movement has quietly sat by, and too long have the working class quietly sat by, whilst we've been force-fed lies about a broken system. We've been too long told that this beautiful system is the best that human beings can devise. This system with blood on its hands, this system that kills people, this system that works people, it grinds them down. You go and you give your brain and your body to someone else for 8, 9, 10 hours a day, and you get it back, and what's left of it, and you go to sleep and you're expected to do it again, and you're expected to be grateful for it. Well, we're not grateful for it, because Labour is entitled to all it creates. Every pound invested in the railway gives back about £3 to £5 to the economy. So what does profit matter? And everywhere you look in the railway, you see an outsourcing company that's outsourced their work to another outsourcing company. And this has come from privatisation, and its only purpose is to crush the organised working class and to crush trade unionism. If an alternative comes before us, or an alternative is brave enough to speak up, we see the full power of the state and the full power of the media turn on them and try to crush them. And if anyone goes out on strike, it's suddenly they're turned on. They started with us, they started with all railway workers, train drivers, cleaners, maintenance workers, conductors. We're all greedy, but it's not a case of being greedy, it's a case of surviving. We cannot stand by and wait for change. We must make change. We cannot stand by and wait for someone to help us survive the cost of living crisis. We've no time to wait for a Labour government. The cost of living crisis is now. And how ordinary working people survive the cost of living crisis will not be decided by MPs in the Houses of Parliament. It will not be decided by laws in the House of Lords. It will not be decided by benevolent bosses in back rooms, and it will not be decided by directors in boardrooms. It will not be decided on Sky News. It will not be decided on Talk Radio. It will not be decided on GB News. How ordinary working people survive the cost of living crisis will be decided on the streets and on picket lines. Cringing meekly at their feet, they would stand between each worker and his bread. Shall we yield our lives up to them for the bitter crust we eat? Shall we only hope for heaven when we're dead? Victory to the RMT, victory to the CWU, victory to Unison, to the FBU, to PCS, victory to the workers, solidarity.